more on the MSP law. Do you think that's a feasible proposition?
Before we get into feasibility, let me just
Yeah,
emphasize what is it that the farmers are demanding and why are they
right,
demanding what they're demanding.
right,
Uh, Last time when the farmers came to Delhi's border, the issue was three laws, which is what the entire country noticed. They said these three laws are oppressive, please take it back. But even last time, if anyone cared to read, demand number two was MSP, minimum
right.
support price. The
Yeah,
government conceded the first demand. The government did not concede the second demand. And for that, we extended the agitation by nearly a month. And then the
yeah,
government said, we'll set up a committee, we'll ensure that you get MSP. So the demand was not conceded, but the government said they'll do something about it. 2 years have passed. Nothing has happened. So now the farmers are pressing. They were saying, all right, पिछली बार तो एक मुसीबत थी जो चली गई, but what did I get from the
yeah,
agitation? Nothing new.
right,
What they really wanted to get is something they have not achieved. So farmers are now, so it's actually to finish the pending agenda of the last movement that farmers are here. And for most of our urban viewers who may not understand the intricacies of MSP, let me say, what is it that the farmers are demanding?
right,
There's something called MRP. The consumers are aware of MRP.
right,
You go to a shop, you say, all right, the MRP is this much. You can't charge me more
right.
than that. Uh,
Yes,
as a consumer, I may be distressed, but it's my right not to pay more than this. There is something called minimum wages.
right.
People may be willing to work for very low, but the state steps in to say, no, you can't give people less than this wage. MSP is
Absolutely.
something similar to that. The government says, and this is not something the farmers are demanding, this is something that happens every year. Twice a year, the government comes out with a statement saying, in our view, this is the minimum price that the following crops must fetch. The government has been doing it for 60 years now. Every year, twice a year, minimum support price is declared. Now, what does minimum support price mean? It is, and mind you, it is always done before the crop sowing season.
Right,
So it's the government's official signal to the farmers that look, before you go to choose your crop, here is our price signal. You should get minimum this much, or else we are here to support you. This is why it's support price. It's not just
right.
minimum price, minimum
Yeah,
support price. Now, the
right,
hitch is that the support never comes. That actually the government purchases less than 10%. Figures vary. Someone says
yeah,
6%, someone says 12%. Let's
yeah,
say something around 10% is actually purchased. The remaining 90% do not get it. And what is officially called the minimum support price remains the maximum possible price. It becomes a dream price for Indian farmers. Farmers are fed up and they are saying, enough is enough. 60 years you've been, doing this to me. Now, please do it. And I would believe you only when you put it in a piece of law so that I don't have to depend on the whims and fancies of every government. That's
right.
basically what the demand is.
And why is the government so? Why is it so difficult for the government to accept that demand? There are verbal assurances given to farmers. They've been always told that government stands with them. But when the farmers say that put it in black and white, what is the problem that the government is facing?
Well, yeah, that's a very good question. Should be asked to the government. Let me
Yeah,
just add to your question. Number one, please remember that in 2014, Mr. Modi went around the country promising the farmers MSP. Mr. Modi said Congress government had this commission called the Swaminathan Commission, but they did not implement it. I will implement it. This is his
right.
promise.
Yeah,
And in 2011, when he was a chief minister of Gujarat, he wrote a letter to the then Prime Minister of India to say MSP should be given a legal status. These are his words. So, in a sense,
right,
farmers are simply saying, Mr. Prime Minister Modi, please listen to Chief Minister Modi. That's all the farmers are saying.
right,
Why is
right,
it the government doesn't want it? Well, basically, because it involves money. It's
right,
very, the government is happy to give farmer words, lovely words, shero shairi, kavita, annadata ho, bhagya vidhata ho, desh nirmata ho. You can get all lovely shero shairi. But when it comes to giving money, well, they have money for corporates, they don't have money for the farmers. It would not cost a bomb. It would cost something, yes. And yes, the moment farmers get this kind of assurance, it's not a one-time expenditure. It's a recurring expenditure. It's an expenditure that you cannot step away from. So the government doesn't want to. And basically, Zafar Saab, this is all about deciding who matters in this country. For
Right.
far too long, the governments have believed that farmers are dispensable. ये हैं करेंगे क्या फर्क पड़ता है you treat them like
Right.
dirt doesn't matter they are here to stay काम तो करेंगे ना farmers are
Yeah.
saying well we matter so to me
Right.
it's really a question of political question of who matters if you ask the
Right.
government economists they come up with all kinds of objections I have heard them you might ask me about that there is a fiscal objection there is an economic
Yeah.
rationality objection there is ecological objection all those are spurious objections we can talk
Right.
about that.
But Yogendraji, the point is that when Narendra Modi was the chief minister of Gujarat and he said that this should be done, and today it's the Rahul Gandhi who is saying that if we come to power, this is the first thing that we'll do. How are the farmers going to react to all this? Because on one hand, you have the BJP chief minister at that point in time, now who's the prime minister who said it in the past, and on the other hand, you have the Congress leader Rahul Gandhi repeating the same words.
Yes, so farmers find it difficult to believe political leaders. They have been cheated
Yeah,
far too often. The only reason why I would take this announced by the Congress party a little more seriously is the following that Congress did not implement this in 2000, from 2007 to 2014. They were punished by the electorate. Mr. Modi was rewarded by the electorate, and one of the reasons was this. In spite of that, in 2019, Congress did not make this promise because by then Congress's ideology was no, we don't want to do this. In the last 2 years, we have seen a significant shift. It's not just one single declaration 3 days ago. In
yeah,
the Udaipur resolution, which was 2022, it came up for the first time. Then in Raipur resolution 2023, it came up for the second time. And what we now have is the most concrete manifestation. And the good thing about the Congress promise is it's not vague. It makes those farmers wanted to hear three words from political parties. And Congress has said all the three MSP, Swaminathan, legal guarantee. So
right,
Congress has committed itself to providing a minimum support price with a legal guarantee. And in the case of Congress, there is a precedent. Congress has come up with more than one legislations of this kind. There is a National Food Security Act. There was a Forest Rights Act. There is the Manrega. So Congress is saying, okay, in that series of granting rights, this is one more right that we want to give you. That may make it more credible. Is it foolproof? Will the farmers completely trust it?
right,
No,
right,
they would wait. Obviously, they would wait because they've just been cheated far too often. But the
right,
fact that the leading opposition party has committed itself to something so concrete, to a legal guarantee, and that too of Swaminathan Commission level, which is cost plus 50%, it's a very
right,
significant move. And I do hope that it would remain not just limited to Congress. Yesterday, Mr. Tejasvi Yadav was in the Bharat Jodo Nyaya Yatra, and he committed this on behalf of RJD as well. So I suspect and I sense and I hope that this would become the demand for the entire India bloc, in which case it's not just one stray promise, it becomes more serious than that.
right. And if you have to draw a comparison between the two agitation, the one that happened a couple of years ago and today's agitation, we saw that was very focused, that was, very intense, and it was on a wide scale. Is this time the government seems to be quite determined not to allow them to go to Delhi? But what about the farmers? Are they so focused and coordinated this time, or is it just that some groups are involved in it while others are not?
Well, determined is one way of putting it. Basically, the government is as brutal and as repressive as it was last time. It's just that last time farmers outsmarted them. This time, so far, the government seems to be holding up in preventing citizen of this country from reaching the capital of this country. That's basically the great achievement of
Yeah.
this government. Uh, in terms of farmers, yes, there is a difference. The Sanyukta Kisan Morcha at that time was a very broad coalition which had practically all the farm unions. But I would like to remind you that some of them were still not there when 26 November agitation was announced 2 years ago. 3 years ago, at that point, Mr. Rakesh Tiket was not part of the SKM which had announced it. Uh, BKU Ograha was also not formally part of SKM at that point. And Mr. Pandher's organization, Kisan Mazdoor Samiti, was also not part of it. But when the agitation caught momentum, everyone came together. All of them joined, and it became a very wide unity. We are witnessing phase one, in which the initial call has been given by what is called SKM non political, which is a breakaway faction of Sanyukta Kisan Morcha, led by Mr. Dalewal and Mr. Shiv Kumar Kaka. And Mr. Pandher's organization has also joined it. The, the real substantive major SKM is still not entirely with it. That's the
Yeah.
difference that you see on the ground. But I should like to draw your attention to developments in the last 48 hours. Because while the SKM, and SKM still includes Mr. Rakesh Tiket, the original Sanyukta Kisan Morcha includes BKU Tiket, it
Yeah.
includes BKU Ograha, it includes Kisan Sabha of the left, it includes Mr. Rajebal's organization, and several other, and Karnataka Raja Rayat Sangha, several organizations are still part of that. While they were not part of the original call of the 13th, they had given a call for Bharat Bandh yesterday for the same
Yeah.
demand. The demands are exactly the same. And after the successful Bharat Bandh yesterday, I suppose there is a lot of discussion and debate, consultations are going on, because the Sanyukta Kisan Morcha has clearly said we shall not tolerate repression against farmers, even if they belong to a different faction other than us. They have BKU Ograha has actually issued a statement. Mr. Jogendra Singh Ograha was one of the most senior farmer leaders of the country. He's given a
Yeah.
statement. No, please do not think that you can create a divide and defeat the farmers. We are with our farmers, even if they are not part of our call. So I
Right.
think you should wait for another 48 hours or so. I think farmers are, even those who have so far stayed away, they are also enraged and they may join hands, in which case it will be quite the same, if not more, than last time's agitation.